If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
And the Coach's Corner brought to you by the B.B. Comer Booster Club. Coach Adam Fossett, the Tigers, joins us this morning and traveled down to East Alabama to take on Lynette last Friday night. And about like a whole lot of people thought it would be, they're a tough football team.
Yes, yeah, it was a long night for us. I don't think we ever got off the bus. So, we talked last week, and, I said the first 5 minutes are going to be a big indication of how the game's going to go. And opening kickoff, we fumble and give it up to them. So within the first 15 seconds, we had already had a turnover. So we held our ground, defensively held our ground there and didn't give up a score, get the ball back, and we have a good, the second play from scrimmage, we get about 17, 18 yards. It's negated by a holding penalty. So after that, it was all downhill from there. So we had the opening kickoff fumble. We had a pass that was deemed a lateral that was scooped and scored by them. Had two blocked punts that they blocked. One was blocked in the end zone for a touchdown. So we gave them 21 points. We kind of handed those to them gift wrapped, and not the way you want to start region play, not the way you want to start road games and things like that. But I think it was a learning experience for our kids. I think it was a humbling experience for our kids. So, like I told them this week, we just have to move forward and get ready for the next opponent.
And Lynette, defending state champion, and they showed why they are that, and all roads go through Lynette till somebody beats them. Right. But you have to admit that some of the things that happened with your team was self-induced.
Yes, yeah, no doubt. It was a different team. You want to improve from week 1 to week 2, and we didn't take steps forward from week 1 to week 2. So, and we had a few things, a few things that we couldn't help. We had a game time decision on one of our athletes who he's our long snapper for us. So our long snapper our punter had to go to the long snapper, so we had to have a different punter. And when you don't have that opportunity to work that timing, that kind of changes things up. So, but as far as the turnovers, the lack of production offensively and things like that, that's what we've got to focus on as far as just little things like reestablishing the line of scrimmage. In the first game against Chillsburg, we're firing off the ball, we're blowing guys back, and then against Lynette, we don't get off the ball at all, and they're reestablishing the line of scrimmage, so they're bringing it towards us. And that's stuff that we've worked on, that's stuff that we've done in film study and showed these guys. And it's always good that the technology that we have today, we can show film and we can slow motion it. We can, if we choose to do the film and put notes on each play, the kids can see it, and then you can put, hey Dave, you missed a tackle or whatever. You can put a little note there, and it stops the film, and then they have to click it again, and it keeps going, and so forth and so on. So the technology we have as coaches now is amazing compared to when I played, when they had the Cowboy remote and the VHS film, and you could hardly see it, and it wasn't very clear, and the head coach would stop it with that big remote, and he'd back it up a step and go forward a step, and it'd glitch, and you couldn't see it. So we are grateful for that, and that's a good learning tool for us.
It shows how important the little things are. You have to make an adjustment in your kicking game, and 2 punts blocked is not something you plan for. It's just something that happens when you have to make adjustments on the fly sometime.
Yeah. It was an adjustment that we had to make quickly, and with us, the kid that came in and punted for us, he gets snaps at punter. He gets snaps when he punts, but the other long snapper is the one that snaps to him. So because the first kid's back there punting, so they take turns punting, and so you never think, well, all right, hey, my long snapper is not going to get a chance. We have a backup long snapper, and we have a backup to the backup, but the best one gets the job done. So But special teams is, you look around high school football and special teams, first off, special teams wins and loses games for you. But secondly, I think it's interesting to see how, as smaller schools like us, we have to find that niche in special teams because the same guys that are playing offense and defense are the same guys that are playing special teams. So you have to figure out, do you want to sacrifice a few guys on special teams, like your starters? Do you have a few backups that you can put in there and that can spell some starters for a snap to give them a little bit of rest before they go back out on the field? And that's tough to do. So you try to throw a couple guys a bone and give them a chance and see how they do. But again, that's a big chance as far as giving up a score or things like that.
38-0, I think the final was, Lynette over BB Comer. How do you try to regroup? We had a big week prior with the win over Childersburg, a shutout by Lynette. You come back, not a whole lot of things went well on that road trip. How do you kind of gather the troops and get back to work?
The big thing is not to, you don't go into a wholesale change. You don't just get rid of what you've been doing. You polish what you do. This week we focused on what we do. What do we do? What's our identity? What are we good at? What do we need to do to work on what we've already done? So we didn't recreate the wheel this week. We went back to fundamentals. Went back to making sure that the little things are taken care of. Up front offensively, we're looking at the correct steps. If you have a double team but the linebacker comes, then you have to have your head on a swivel because you've got to pick up the linebacker. Our backs working on making sure that they're hitting their holes well, making sure that their ball security. Quarterbacks making sure their reads are right. There's all these little nuances that we're trying to cover that we didn't necessarily get away from, but that maybe we didn't remember last Friday when we weren't in an element where we were having success.
Yeah. Sometimes you see when a game is out of hand, kids get hurt. There are injuries. What about injury report for the Tigers?
We're fairly healthy. We have a few guys that have a few nicks and bruises, but nothing major. One thing that I guess if you can bring a positive from last week was that we got to play our young guys. So everybody that went with us played, and I was very impressed with our young guys' performance. How well they executed. They went out there and we were still able to call plays like we call plays. We didn't have to bring the quarterback over.
And you keep coaching,
Yeah. You don't quit on the kids, and you just don't stop coaching. It's the game's going on. I tell them, hey, I told them at halftime, we've got 24 more minutes of football, and whether we go out there and perform and hold them and don't give up points, or whether we go out there and lay down and give up 50 points, we've got to go out for those 24 minutes.
Was the second half better?
Yeah. I thought the second half we played better. Defensively, I thought we played very well. There was a few things. They keyed on some stuff. They found a weakness as far as running some screen stuff that we misaligned on. But other than that, I thought we did pretty well. I thought we tackled well in space, and it was a true test because they've got 3 or 4 athletes offensively. They're Division I caliber athletes. So. Number 5 for them he's huge.
He's a game changer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's after the game he looked down to me to tell me good game. So, he's probably 6'5", maybe closer to 6'6", probably 260 pounds, and he can move. He's a total package. So at one point in time in the game, he went to run a route, and one of my younger guys was coming up to make a tackle, and there was barely contact, and he knocked my young guy back and knocked him on his butt. So, hats off to my guy because he wasn't afraid. He was going to come up and make a play, but just the size differential was amazing.
Another East Alabama team this week here at Legion Stadium, Lafayette. Talk about them.
So Lafayette's coming in. Their first game was last week. They didn't play week 0, week 1. So their first game was last week against Randolph County. They lost that game 28-14.
And Randolph County is a great football program.
I was going to say, we know the name Randolph County. They're a great program. They've made a couple deep runs over the past couple of years. So Lafayette is very athletic. They've got some size. They're under a new head coach, first-year head coach. So they're still trying to learn each other, and I think they're still, based on film, it looks like they're still trying to learn some offensive stuff and some defensive stuff as far as alignment. So, but the scary part about them is, offensively, if there's a breakdown, their quarterback he has amazing speed and elusiveness. So we've got to make sure that we keep him contained and
How
can't let
much
him
pressure
get
does
to the
that put
edge.
on your defense, knowing that this guy can pop one anytime?
It puts a lot of pressure on them, I guess, but it's more about assignment, assignment and alignment football, and don't worry about everything. Worry about your job, and that's where a lot of times that's where I think high school athletes in general kind of lose focus. Is they're worried about the whole thing instead of worrying about what you're supposed to do. So I think we have a plan in place. Coach Hale's done a good job this week. Working on a plan to contain him and to make sure that we don't let him get to the outside, and working on setting the edge so that he doesn't get outside.
Got to get the offense untracked.
Right, yeah, we got to get rolling offensively. Just got to get back to what we're doing and what we're built to do. We've got to be able to have a good balance of Raphael Johnson and Chris Garrett. We got to let Devontae Carmichael kind of loosen up, and this would be a good time for him to have a coming out game and get back to old form, and that's kind of what we need this week out of those guys.
Lafayette and Randolph County last week. Lafayette was in that game most of the way, weren't they?
They were. They were up 7-6 at halftime. So, and then they came. Second half they scored, and second half Randolph County scores to make it 12-7, and Lafayette comes right back and scores again to make it 14-12 before Randolph comes back and scores 2 more times. So, as a matter of fact, after Lafayette scores to go up 14-6, Randolph County takes the kick back, and once Lafayette kicks off to Randolph and they take it back, that kind of took the wind out of their sails, and they kind of lost a little bit of a step after that.
You talked about the loss to Lynette, and you talked about it for the 3 years you've been here, about special teams. And 2A schools, they don't have a lot of kids that are specialized, and they just don't walk on the field and kick or run punts back. But it's a very important aspect of the game, and that Lafayette has seen tape of last week.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's a third of the game. You can't start a game without a special team. So it's one of those things that is really, again, going back to small school. I mean, it's just a small school issue around the state. We don't have guys that are just punters. We don't have guys that are just kickers. We would be
not quite the luxury, is it?
Yeah. We would be blessed if some kid walked up and said, "Hey, I can kick the ball a little bit," and he lines it up and kicks it through the end zone on kickoffs. That's one less concern that you have. If he can kick it through the end zone 90% of the time, that means the other team's starting on the 20, and you can spell some guys on kickoff because you have confidence that ball's going to go through the end zone. So you can play some younger guys on kickoff if that happens. Punt is the one that punt just baffles me because we go over it, we talk it, we walk it, we run it live, we walk through it, so that's probably the most frustrating of all the special teams is when we line up to punt. 3 years ago we had a punt blocked every game. We had at least one punt blocked every game that we played my first year, and that's not something that you want to be known for. So for us to have a week like we had last week with our special teams, we've put in some time and effort and we've definitely focused on punt this week, and making sure that we solve some of those problems.
Lafayette tomorrow night, kick at 7 o'clock at Legion Stadium in Sylacauga. These region games are so important.
Yes. Yeah, region games are very important. And, our guys, we don't want to press and get uptight about it, but we need to pick up a region win. Early in the season, need to get a region win under our belt. And we don't want to be in a situation where we were last year, trying to make the playoffs and having to win a non-region game and depending on another team to beat a team in our region so we can get in. So we would like to be in before the end of the season type deal. I think we have a team capable of being a playoff team. And we'd like to start racking up some region wins early and often.
Yeah. Raphael Johnson, we know how he has such big play capabilities, and as a gamer, he's able to take the big hits. We need a big game from him tomorrow night.
Yes, yeah, he needs to have a big game on both sides of the ball. His responsibilities defensively have increased a lot this year, and that's I think that's kind of gone unnoticed. Not unnoticed, but last year he didn't have to play as much defensively. So his motor's got to be going all the time, and we've got to be able to depend on.
And that's tough,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's playing nonstop. That's tough, and conditioning kids and getting kids into top shape so that they can play is tough, especially coming off of not having. Not having school, not having spring football and things like that. So I think when you watch film of teams, I think a lot of us are behind the curve as far as the conditioning factor.
A lot of Tiger fans looking forward to tomorrow night. Hope we can get that W against Lafayette. Coach, good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Adam Fossett, the head football coach and athletic director at BB Comer. Our guest this morning brought to you by the BB Comer Booster Club. More Daybreak after this.